Hi, I'm Brad Knowles, producer of Friday Night Flies, hosted by Scott LeBoldis and Scotty Holmes. Enjoy the show.
Alright, welcome to Friday Night Flies. My name's Zach. I'm from Bass Pro in Tawasin. I'm in charge of the fly shop there. Come on down and check us out. We've got tons of stuff. The store is huge. It's beautiful. Just ask Brad and Scott. They were in a couple weeks ago and tied up a couple flies for you at my sweet tying table. If you're interested, come on in, and we've got some materials from Superfly for you to play around with. Come check us out. So anyways, I've got a couple of flies for you. Some pretty cool ones that we'll get into in the next couple of weeks here. Tonight I'm going to go a little easy on you. I was at the river yesterday. We fished a couple different patterns, some flesh flies and a couple little streamers, stuff like that. The one I'm going to show you tonight, which is this guy here, called a Slumpbuster in white. It definitely caught the biggest fish of the day. Nice big coho. He's a little colored, but he's definitely really pretty. Hammered the fly on the swing. So yeah, let's head on down and I'll show you how to tie it up. Alright, so here we go. So this is a Slumpbuster. Again, caught the biggest fish of the day yesterday. I'll probably get Brad to post up a photo there if you can. It's pretty nice, flows really good in the water, you get lots of movement out of it. Add a little UV twist to it. And yes, let's get going here. Yeah, so my buddy Jordan caught the massive guy. He just hammered it on the swing, fought like crazy. He's caught a lot of fish in his days, and he was saying it was probably the biggest coho that he's ever had. So yeah, well, hopefully Brad just posted that photo there. So we're just going to get a hook into the vise here. So we've got a TMC 9395 in the vise, size 4, 4x long streamer hook. Nice and strong. A lot of these fish get pretty big this time of year, so they're going to rip your hooks apart if you're not careful. So we're just going to start by dressing the hook with some 140 UTC Ultra Thread in white. Color doesn't really matter. We're going to kind of cover up everything anyway. So I'm just going to go kind of down to the hook point and then back up to behind the bead. And once we get there, we've got some Superfly medium red wire here. We're going to tie that in and just follow that all the way back. If you're worried about your thread nipping off and stuff like that on the ends, just shove that wire up into the head of the bead and you shouldn't have any problems. So we're going to go back just before the bend of the hook there, a couple of solid wraps to secure that in. Then we're going to grab some white rabbit strip here, just make sure you get all the fibers flowing backwards. We're just going to kind of measure that up. We're going to have the front there. What we're going to do is we're going to part this right at the back here. You can kind of wet your fingers. It helps to kind of separate all those fibers. We're going to get it kind of right where we want it. And we're going to tie this in with a couple nice snug wraps. Doesn't need much, just enough to hold it in place. Make sure it's sitting on top of the hook there. Let's just have a look at that. That looks to be alright. Then we're just going to fold that back, give a couple wraps in behind it. And then we're going to start our dubbing. So the body is all dubbing. You can use all sorts of different materials. You can switch up the colors on this fly if you like. I'm going to use some Arizona Semi-Seal in Crystal Dub. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, which is kind of nice. Gives a different look to the fly. It's nice and flowy. We're going to pick this all out. So it's going to have a nice flowing body just like the tail. It's going to imitate your bait fish and your sculpins, and it all depends on what colors you want to use. And we're just going to start wrapping that in. Don't have to be too picky about it. Bushier the better. Get a little more movement out of it. We need a lot more dubbing than that. Keep pulling some out here. Just create a nice big noodle. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just enough so it's got some body to it. Just keep going. You can tie this pattern in greens and browns and pinks and purples and you name it. Especially for the chum and pink season coming up next year. This is going to be a good fly to have in pink. Super easy to tie. You can fill your box in no time, which is kind of nice. Just keep going. We're going to go right up to the bead. So a little bit more dubbing here. That should be pretty close, I would think. Alrighty. Doesn't matter if it's not right up to there. We're going to add a collar and stuff like that on the fly. So having a little bit of room is kind of nice. So now we just want to make sure that rabbit gets all the way up to the front, which it does. Now we're going to part that rabbit right where we tied it in. We're going to follow that wire up right on top of that wrap. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pull back a few fibers here. Try to get 4 to 6 wraps, somewhere in there. Each time we get another wrap in, tug in nice and snug on the top, just to keep that rabbit in place. We're going to just keep going here. Try to get them as even as you can. The fish aren't too picky. You don't have to worry about them counting your wraps and the spacing and all that. I like the red for a little bit of contrast. You can use green, you can use silver or gold. You name it. Use whatever colors you want here. One more up to the top. Now I'm going to poke that bead up. Make sure that rabbit's still staying on top. We're going to tie that off right behind the bead. Shorten up my thread here. A couple turns. Where did my wire scissors go? There we go. We're just going to trim that guy off. If you're worried about nipping your thread, just kind of squish it down underneath the rabbit. Give a few wraps backwards here. So we're going to add some UV polar chenille right now. You guys know how much we love that stuff. So I've got it here in silver. This is one of my favorite materials right now. You can use gold as well. It would be a nice effect on this colorway. So we'll just tie that in right behind the bead. Alright, just make sure we're preening that back. 2 to 3 wraps is really all you need. Don't need a whole lot of this stuff. Really shines well in the water. And just kind of tie that in, lock it down, preen everything back so it all flows backwards. We're just going to trim that guy off. So we've got enough wraps, so it's kind of going all the way around there. And now to finish this off, we're going to make a dubbing loop. Turn it around, lock it up. Make sure that bead's in the right spot there. I'm going to tuck my dubbing twister on there. Basically all we're going to put in here is more rabbit. So I've got a small chunk here, probably about 1 inch in length that I've cut off. We're just going to pop that right into the dubbing loop. Hide and all. I'm just going to slide that up to the top. As you can see. Now this makes it easy to cut this guy off. So we're just going to give it a couple twists here just to make sure everything's tight. We're just going to trim that guy pretty close if we can. Doesn't matter if there's a bit of overlap here. That'll just help bulk up the head a little bit. So there we go. As you can see, my thread got maybe 1/4 of an inch in there. 1/16 of an inch, something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to spin our dubbing twister, and we're going to keep the knot closed, and then we're going to let it all spin as we pull back. We're going to do that one more time. Get a nice tight dubbing loop there, and then we're just going to pick it out. Kind of get those trap fibers loose. I'm going to show you guys some pretty cool stuff with composite loops and what you can do with a dubbing loop, which is pretty insane. So now all we're going to do, we got it pulled up nice and high. Just going to wet our fingers, preen all that back. Creates kind of like a hackle. And you can try to control it a little bit here. The closer you hold it to the fibers, the more control you have over it. And we're just going to wrap that around. Kind of preening as we go. I want everything to be flown backwards here, which is going to be a little trouble. We're just going to wrap this all right behind the bead. Try to get it 2, 3, maybe 4 wraps in here, so it's nice and snug against the bead. We're almost there. Another half turn here. sure everything's going backwards. Awesome. Now we're just going to tie her down. A couple in front. Cut that off. And we're going to go ahead and whip finish here. Alright, quick little whip finish. Tuck that in behind the bead. Snip that off. Alright, and that's basically it. You kind of brush it forward. Pick that body out. Gives a little, kind of blends everything in together. Gives a little bit of shimmer to it, along with that UV polar chenille. And then we're just going to trim the tail. So trim that. We're just going to pick up some fibers, about a body length. We're just going to cut that hide. Stroke all that back. So there you have it. That's the Slumpbuster. Alright, there's the Slumpbuster for you. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a pretty cool pattern, pretty easy to tie. Fill your boxes with it, doing a bunch of different color combos. Yeah, if you get a chance, come on down and see me at Bass Pro. If you're up in Pemberton, go see the Pemberton Fish Finders. Book a tour with them. I know they're getting pretty excited for ice fishing. They were down in Edmonton just the other day at Superfly. Went to Cabela's and got some ice fishing gear. So yeah, check them out. Come check me out. Come hang out and tie some up. See you next time.